She is an international, amazing woman who has really mastered the inner game of success. She has an MA in marketing, she's been on BBC TV, and she has begun something that will really help midlife women to transform how they are setting up their businesses. Please welcome to the show, Shirley Billson. Hello, Shirley. How are you?
I'm really well, thanks.
It is so good to see you too. And again, welcome. I'm so glad you could take some time and be here with us all live today. So, Shirley, please I want to jump right in and find out, because your story is all around numbers and age and women. That's really kind of your focus, is it not?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's about numbers, but it's also about recognizing a split that I realized late in life, but it does link to numbers, about how I realize other women feel like they have to choose between doing what they love and making money. It's like you do one or the other.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I learned this, as I think we all do. I went through the process of discovering this for myself. I worked really hard and was making lots of money and spinning wheels and no time to do anything, and feeling compromised and constrained, and frankly, pretty miserable.
Yes.
And then I thought, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to do what I love. And I set off to do that.
Okay.
Which was great. Except I wasn't making any money doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the numbers bit was missing there.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think the other thing with the numbers is, I talk about midlife. It just seems to be, it's not that women don't need this at different ages in their life, but I think when we get to 40, 50, some of us 30, but normally it's closer 40, 50.
Yeah.
We start to question, we start to look at what's beyond us instead of just what's behind.
Now talk about that a little bit. What does that mean, looking beyond versus what's behind?
I think what happened for me, and this is what I found, is we question, how long life will be and what is there for us. We kind of feel like we should have got to a place where we've reached the place we're meant to be.
Right, that you've kind of made it, right? You've kind of made it. And what if that hasn't happened by 40 or 50? Then what?
Yeah. Then you start to worry.
Yeah.
And you worry if you'll ever get there, and if getting there, where is getting there?
Where is there, right? Absolutely.
And then you start to get into the money piece. We're back to the numbers, and you think about, well, what age will I live to?
Right, and is everybody, planning necessarily for, retirement and 401ks and savings and all of those things, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then there's aging parents. So then you have to figure out, do I have to pay to look after my parents?
Right.
Then there's your kids.
So there's quite a lot.
Now more than ever, midlife women are stretched in every direction with the numbers. And so it's really easy to give up on what you want.
Yes, because as women, we very typically will put ourselves last. Is that not correct? We'll make sure everyone else is taken care of.
Yeah.
But if we get what we want, maybe that's okay, maybe not.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes we don't, we just stop dreaming. We just think, oh, well, it's not for me. I used to think I could do that, but, it would have happened if it was going to happen.
And that was a childhood dream. I actually literally just read someone's post the other day that said, I'm going to set my dream aside for now, and maybe I'll get back to it, maybe I won't. And my heart just broke. I thought, oh my gosh, how can we ever give up on our dream? Now, of course, the dreams might change and shift, but to just give up.
Yeah, you give up because you convince yourself that it was a dream, that it was some childhood fancy.
Yes.
It wasn't really for you.
Right.
It's for someone else in life, but not for you.
Yeah, we tell ourselves all sorts of fun things, don't we?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you say to do instead of that? What do you say? How do you master and really change that inner talk?
Okay. Well, God, there's loads of different ways. But
Give us a few.
one of the key things is that I find women come to me, they're mainly in two camps. So they're either still in the job,
Yes.
earning loads of money, but not enjoying it and
Yes.
hating it, and maybe doing a little bit of what they think they love part-time. And that's challenging because
Yes.
you can't give the energy to it, and
Right.
when do they jump, and they've got to give up this salary. And then the other group of women have decided to make that jump, but they're not making the money.
Right.
And so then they start to doubt whether, it's that, am I doing the right thing?
Right. Was that
this
a good choice?
idea?
Yeah.
Yeah. So either way, one of the things I start people with is getting really crystal clear on what that vision is so that they can trust it from the center of the, the inner core. They know
Yes.
deep down,
Yes.
this is what I'm meant to be doing.
Absolutely.
And you know the power of that.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I kind of happened across this. I was working with clients, and people come to see me with all kinds of things, and I go, well, hang on a minute. This is going to seem weird, but I'm not going to talk to you about that thing you came to see me for.
Okay.
And instead I said, well, tell me, what kind of things did you love to do when you were a kid?
Yes.
And they kind of get that, but then I start to say, well, and who were your heroes? What kind of things, what kind of people did you admire and think were great?
Yes.
And that's easy to, in a conversation, a penny doesn't necessarily drop, but once you've got someone supporting you through that process,
Yes.
and I did this just last week with someone, and it was great.
Yes.
Watching all the pieces connect.
Right.
And she suddenly saw how she was really unique and how the things she'd been convincing herself she should be doing wasn't remotely aligned with who she really was.
Yes. Yes. That's beautiful. And in that process, you get to kind of take a look back and see how those things that you really loved, the things that got you excited, the joy,
Yeah.
and how some of those pieces could come together. Is that how you also help them to see those things?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Completely. And in really unusual ways. You've got to be able to think really laterally around it.
Okay.
But it's the thing that stops you playing small. Because here's the thing, the women who are doing what they love but not making any money doing it
Yes.
have partially stepped into their dream.
Yes. Right. So what do
Yeah.
you say to them? Because for
Yeah.
them, it's not finding the dream. It's now how do you sustain yourself with it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So once you start to, I talk about money alignment. We're not going to talk about money because that's way too complex and a big subject. But you do need to get aligned with your comfort around money and not separate it and put it in a different compartment.
Right.
But once you do that, you can start really expanding into the purpose of what you're here to do.
Nice.
And you're a great example of this. You can step into this place that is so much bigger than you ever imagined.
Absolutely.
If I use myself as an example, and I take myself through my own processes,
Right. Which is a
which I
challenge
used
to
to
do,
think
I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I was a weird kid, I was really small, but I always felt obliged to stick up for people, and I really admired people like Martin Luther King and Gandhi, and those are reasonable people to admire. But when you're a small child, it's a bit strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
It should have been like the Osmonds, or you tell my age, or David Cassidy, or someone,
Right.
the Jacksons. But no, it was Martin Luther King. And I dismissed that completely, thinking, well, hey, that was nice. But once I started drawing on the threads of it,
Yes.
and aligning myself with my purpose and seeing what that meant,
Yes.
it made me realize that I am meant to stand out and be unafraid to say things in a big way
Yes.
And not think, oh God, but what if people don't like me?
What are they going to say? What are they going to think of me? Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's really, really powerful. And Shirley, we're going to take a break. And when I come back, what I'd like to do is just go a little bit and perhaps maybe one or two things you can even share with our audience that they could do, today, a question or two or something to just
Sure.
even get started. And then a kind of closing thought of how you really can help people to step into their dream in a more powerful way, especially those who've given up on the dream. Those who think, oh, I'm too old and all of that nonsense, essentially, right?
Yeah,
all right, so
absolutely.
we'll be right back. Thank you so much. Come right back. We finish talking with Shirley Billson. This episode was sponsored by Soul Purpose Branding. Put your soul into your brand. Get your business on purpose. With Sabine Messner, the wizard of Soul Purpose Branding. soulpurposebranding.com. We are back and speaking with Shirley Billson, who is sharing with us how to really stay connected to your dream, especially middle-aged women in 40s, 50s, or men, absolutely. How to stay connected to your dream and really master that inner game of success. So welcome back, Shirley. We're glad you're with us. And I have to tell you, I've just already really enjoyed what you've been sharing with us, because it's very much, I believe, has been my own journey of really making sure to remember those early dreams, right? When I was 3 and 4 and 5, and the things that I apparently told my family, I didn't even remember some of them. But, and then really seeing them come back and looking through my life and connecting those dots. So I love that that's your work, and that's what you really empower people to do, because it's absolutely been my journey. So what are some of the specific things, or a technique or two you can share with us today?
Okay. Well, it was really nice that you mentioned some of the things you forgot. So I'm going to give you a couple of exercises that you can do that are best if you share with someone else, but to begin with, just do it on your own. So if you're about unleashing your core brilliance, the first thing to do is either record, write, or draw your memories of what you loved doing as a child. So the reason I say write, record, or draw is clearly we're all, the way we work, we're connected in a different way.
Yes.
So some of us love to write.
Yes.
But some of us love to speak.
Yes.
So maybe you or Gina.
I would.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Would be best at recording. So get yourself and just talk into it, your memories of what you loved doing as a child. And as you explained, maybe share it with family and say, hey, I remember doing this. What do you remember me being like as a child? Because we do forget.
Yes.
And so do that. So then the next thing is to remember, and again, record. You can draw pictures, you can record audio, you can write it down. Somehow map times and places where you felt amazing.
That's nice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So sometimes that's not connected to what you were doing, but it really helps the way the subconscious stores information.
Yes, okay.
To reconnect with how you felt and what you were doing in that moment.
That's powerful, I think, because I think with our kind of linear left brain kind of approaches to most things, we wouldn't necessarily think of that. And I agree. I think that's pretty powerful. Just what brought you so much joy.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
You're right. And that's the trouble, is we try to work these things out in a linear, logical way, but that's not how we're wired. And, I could talk for hours on the subconscious. The subconscious is a wonderful thing, and it works through the senses. So you feed it information about what feels good, and it says, oh, hey, so you want me to go looking for things that feel like this?
Right?
Yeah, so it starts to allow things to come back. So you go through this exercise, you write it down, or you record it, you draw it, and then you leave it. Just allow it to filter for a while.
Kind of marinate, kind of settle in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you leave it for maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, and you go back to it, and you read it or you listen to it again.
Okay.
So what happens in the intervening period is that your brain has been working on it.
Ah.
And
Nice.
themes and insights and ideas begin to pop. Now, the thing with this is you have to just relax into it and not try to be too structured and, I've got to get to step 2. What was that?
Right.
Because some of us will want to do that.
Yes.
What's the next step? Oh, I need the structure.
Yes.
Yeah. And you really got to relax into it and not try to push it anywhere. So whether you are already feeling like you're doing your thing,
Yes,
or whether you're not, you will still get deeper insights going through this process.
Nice. Yeah.
And it's a really, really, really simple tool. But once the ideas start popping, you got to trust yourself and go, well, hang on a minute. So in my example for Martin Luther King, I had to think about that for a while.
Right. Where did that come from? What's that about? Right.
Yeah. And then you start thinking, well, hang on a minute. What does that mean for me? What ways could I be expressing myself in life that relates to how I felt about that person, or what they did, or what they said, or that situation?
Yes, because there was a reason you had a connection. There's a reason that this person or thing really, impacted you, right?
Yeah.
And you want to pay attention to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know that you will now, as you described, you can see the joins more and more.
Yeah.
In fact, I just something's just sprung to my mind. You see how the mind works.
Yeah.
I remember Steve Jobs saying that if he looked forward, he couldn't necessarily know where he was going, but when he looked back, he could see the way things joined up.
Ah. There are a number of sayings like that, something about, your history and things like that I love that you just said that. I don't think I've ever made those connections in quite that way, except for how you just put that. It actually now makes sense to me, some of those sayings on a deeper level. That really makes sense, hindsight 2020, as they say, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can see things, and that helps you now to know what maybe perhaps just the next step is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what would that be for you? What would kind of be, if people were to work with you, what would be a next step? How would they be able to do that?
You mean once they've already got their purpose, or in terms of finding their purpose?
In terms of finding it, even.
In terms of finding their purpose?
Either.
Yeah. I mean, the next step is, I would always say, I always like to, if we're playing small, let's start small. I know we're supposed to think big, but for some people, they go, no, I can't start with big.
Right.
So, the first step would be to pick up the gift that you're going to make available, that I've made available. And that is actually the exercise I've just gone through with a couple of extra steps thrown in.
Okay, wonderful.
And that's a great place to start.
Yes.
Because just the act of engaging your brain with thinking about it. I'm going to think about this. That's an intention there.
Yeah.
Is a great start. Check out my website, at shirleybillson.com. Do you want me to spell that, or is that?
We're going to make sure we have the link up there for you, for everybody to connect. Absolutely.
You take a look, see whether it resonates with you, and if it does, make sure you sign up for some of the free stuff. We love the free stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
But honest to God, if you want to make the changes, I can testify to my experience, and I know yours. You have to reach out to someone that's going to handhold you through this.
Yes. That's key. I think that's
because
really
when
key.
your mind starts to reveal to you how big you can play.
Yes.
Yes.
Your head could explode is what could happen.
Your head could explode.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it can absolutely overwhelm you.
It can overwhelm you. So you need someone to help you with the doubts, the fears, the wobbles.
Yes.
Really, I can't do this.
Yeah. Oh my God. What? Me? Not little old me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And give you some of the practical. I'm not all in the fluffy end of things of just let's play some games.
Right.
I'm also about some nice practical tools and strategies.
Yes.
That enable you to connect your core unique brilliance in a way that creates an individual brand
Nice.
So that people who are your ideal people
Yes.
know who you are and you know how to reach out to them, and you need to know how to do that.
Yes, very key, very important.
Yeah,
Yes.
because that doesn't come naturally for most of us. It certainly didn't for me.
Well, no, and most of us didn't learn those skills. So it's so great that we have people like you who, help us to take those steps, to know what to do step by step.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have just loved even the few steps you've already taken us through, and how powerful that's already been for me, kind of going down memory lane and seeing that that's very much been my similar journey. So I love that you really guide people through that very process into their unique brilliance. So
thank you very much. And the thing is, if people sign up and they start the work and they something resonates with hearing me today, talking to you, anyone that does sign up to that, I will invite, I obviously can't speak to everybody, but I will invite people to apply for a complimentary conversation with me.
Beautiful. Yes.
Now that will terrify the life out of some of them. But, step into that place, be brave, and it's just a conversation. It's just a conversation, but it might be a conversation that takes you a big, bold step closer to that wonderful place you deserve to be.
Yes, 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 and yes. Shirley, absolutely wonderful. I do hope everyone will just really take you up on that. I think that's a wonderful gift. Thank you so much for extending that to our guests today. And it's just been such a pleasure, really, speaking with you today. Any final thoughts in closing?
My final thoughts are don't give up on your dream. If you aspire to a six-figure income, doing something you think no one will ever pay you big money to do, then stick with it, because there's a reason you want to do this.
Yes. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well said. Thank you so much, Shirley.
Thank you. It's been a delight and a pleasure.
All right, we will be back with our next guest. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being with us today on our show. I really hope that there was something shared that really helps you shine your biggest and brightest light. Please stop by again, like us on Facebook, tweet us, all of those good things. And most importantly, please always remember, it's all about love.